Welcome. This is the Simply King podcast, and it's your boy Rodney Perry, King himself. And you just tuned into the Soulfully Conscious podcast for humans, simply being humans. And today is a special one. Today is the 6-year anniversary of the Simply King podcast.
Woo! Talk to him.
Yes, and I didn't want to take too much time. I wanted to specifically make this episode one that was not only, I won't even say just brief, but one that got straight to, the meat and bones of the situation. Because yes, it's a celebratory move, but I do want to highlight the significance of this time in my life, this time on my creative journey, but also what's to come. So, thanks to all the people for, sticking with me. You know what I'm saying? If you joined and started subscribing in the first year, second year, third year, whenever you did, more than anything, I want you to understand that it's bold as hell to put yourself out there for any type of judgment. But and you don't even know if you're putting shit out to this void, if anybody really gonna care for whatever you do. So it feels good. It feels great to know that I'm 6 years in and there's people who still give a damn about me saying whatever the hell I got to say. So today is going to be a celebratory, introspective, a good time, you feel me? And not even for a long time. So I have here with me two good friends of mine who came into Chicago, right at a very interesting time. I have here with me a long time, it's been 10 years.
Woo!
This has been August, August of 2011.
Yeah, it's been.
I have here with me the
it's crazy.
The incomparable.
We should have did something for our anniversary.
Eclectic, right? Eclectic and extremely talented Bennierosevelt,
yes,
Remy Rosewood, a million different monikers that he calls himself.
With that little Daxton. Sunny Malu. Give me my pager. You know what I mean?
Yes. And I also have a new friend that I'm truly getting to know and becoming more and more closer to with every experience and every time we share space. I have here with me my boy Arris. I'm not even gonna try to say your last name because it's gonna hurt me. But coming from all the way from the Bay on your cross country trek back to the Caribbean, you feel me? I have my boy Arris here with me, who's definitely extremely talented and creative in his own right as well. But we're gonna get right into this. I wanted to know, what do y'all know about the number 6? Like when y'all think about the number 6,
Crips.
What comes to mind? Crips? Why?
Because that's what I've always associated with, like especially growing up. It's been Crips and Sixes.
Crips and Sixes.
That's it. No, but outside of that, I know what is it? It's the six. What is it? That makes up an atom. 6 neutrons, 6 electrons, 6 something else. Like I know it's a part of your actual DNA.
I think it depends on the type of molecule it is, because it's different for each one.
But I think it's an atom. For the atom.
It's different for each one.
We got different atoms?
For each type of thing, like what this is made of may be this many, protons, this many electrons, but it's not everyone doesn't have the exact same amount. Some things are more massive than others, so they have more mass than the others, so they gotta have more electrons, more neutrons, more protons, which is just positive energy, negative energy, and neutral energy.
Oh, it's carbon. That's what I think of. 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. Carbon.
Yeah, but
that's what I'd be thinking of.
Yeah, we all made out of carbon for sure. Carbon is in most things, yeah.
All things.
Not all, but yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not how the world works.
Yes, it is.
It's something that doesn't have carbon. That's how it be.
Oh, Lord.
What about you, Arris? When you think of the number
6? When I think about the number 6, what immediately comes to mind is the perspective from sacred geometry. Right? So I think about the hexagon, which essentially is 2 two triangles. And if you want to go even deeper into it, right? Sacred geometry, right? So like we can go into the esoteric part of it, where it's just two opposing sides, not necessarily positive or negative, but just showing two opposing sides. Most often this is displayed as like masculine or feminine energy. But the overall arching significance of the number 6, six-sided thing, 6 shapes, is this balance and harmony, right? And you'll hear that a lot anytime someone brings up the number 6. That's why it's so significant. That's why bees and the way that they build the honeycomb is perfect harmony, right? People could say, well, triangle is the most efficient, it's the strongest shape.
Yes.
Which is true.
Yes.
But when you're talking about harmony and balance, right? Something that represents the mind and the body, right? There's so many examples that you can pull from. Heaven and hell, God and earth, you know what I mean? So when I think about the number 6, I think of complete harmony and balance within all things.
It's funny you say that.
It's non-living things that don't have a carbon, but makes sense.
You said it's 11 things?
No, non-living things like diamonds and shit like that, like water.
Inanimate things.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of it got carbon.
When I was Googling, doing research on the number 6, just to figure out, like, okay, what does this mean? How should I approach it? What does this mean for just the show in this particular time and what this next year is going to be about? I came to this from mastermindcontent.co.uk, and it resonated, and I'll read it to you guys as so. The lessons to learn from the symbolic meaning of 6 are harmony, balance, sincerity, love, and truth. We are required to call upon the energy of the 6 anytime. I lost my place. Upon the energy of the 6 when dealing with diplomacy, sensitive matters. It is the ability to feel compassion and love in any given situation. In numerology, the number 6 indicates a balanced personality. People who predominantly display features of the 6 are responsible, idealist, carers, unselfish, teachers, protectors, charitable, and have emotional depth. The negative aspect of 6 personality is that you are disconnected, hypocritical, weak, shallow, submissive, restless, and easily stressed. So, and then yes, they even go into talking about kind of the esoteric and, sacred geometry and all that. I think for me, it's funny because I think so much of what this year has been is the solutions to a lot of my things, or the things that's been kind of presented to me consistently, has been by way of like the woo-woo, has been by way of like these spiritual things. And I really wonder, I guess I'm drawn to it even more now because it keeps showing up. Either the people I meet, the folks who the rooms I end up getting into, and it feels so, I don't know, it feels so impactful, it feels so resonating, and I feel drawn to it in a lot of ways too, so I'm not surprised that is what the 6 really is. I don't know what the fuck Drake was talking about, but, because I don't even know if people call Toronto the 6 like that. Like, I don't know what
talking about carbon. 6.
Definitely not talking about.
He was definitely not talking about carbon. I don't know what the hell he was on.
All right. You can laugh at it later because you know it was fun.
No.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was. But I wanted to ask you all a question, and that is, and I want to answer too. How does it feel like, in this particular phase of life right now, we all are, even if we claim it, always in a kind of a state of transition. We're always going from one place to another, trying to go from this stage to the next phase. We're naturally growing. We're going to get older. Something is going to progress. There's something always happening. I guess I want to ask you, how is it that you all see yourselves moving from this phase that you're in now to the next? Like, I guess, what do you feel like you're doing to, I guess, make that or welcome whatever that next phase is? If you already know what it is, you can speak to that too. If you don't know, I guess, what are you doing to figure it out?
As soon as you had said that, I thought of liminal spaces. It's
Say that?
the definition of it, if I'm not mistaken, because I be mistaken all the time. It's between something that's forgotten and what's to come. So if I can give you like a visual representation of it, it's somebody swinging, and when they let go to catch the other swing, they're right in the middle. That's the immediate thing that comes to mind. But to answer the question, it's to build and have consistency on very basic levels, because that's something I have not had. Well, outside of making art. And now even with that, it's to a spot where that has to be transitioned into something else, because you can no longer make beauty for beauty's sake when you reach a certain thing. I mean, at least that's how I see it. Right? So
what do you mean? That you
can't just be making, because I feel like that is irresponsible. If you do have a gift of some sort, and you're just kind of doing it just for the sake of it being beautiful, and not like actually applying it to possibly something bigger, possibly just something else, at least teaching about it or something like that, or the things that you have learned through it, and actually making that something tangible, if you will, something that can be passed on, or whatever the case is. It can take many different forms, as I like to see it. But outside of that, within my personal life, it's a consistency that needs to be built. I haven't had my feet on the ground for like the last 7 or 8 years. It's just been travel and things and letting things fall where they may, and that's been heavily enabled by all the fans, all the people that's wanting to work with me. Because growing or following while you're just doing the thing that you just like to do, you're enabled like shit just to keep doing it and do all type of extra little cool shit in the middle. You don't have to necessarily think about the future, or at least in that moment. You don't have to like think about it, because you have everything you have right now. And if that's the goal, live on. But to push to the next phase, it's to have a certain level of consistency, and it's to transition the art into something meaningful, because it's always going to be beautiful. That's what I know how to do, is make it beautiful.
So would you say the current point in time that you're in now is that limited space, that space of, the space of in between, realizing the last 7 years were exactly what they needed to be to get you where you are now, and now you're in that space between, from I'm still here, I'm still able to touch that, I can continue a lot of those patterns, but I'm also able to like now reach in newer spaces because of what I've learned from those times? Is that what you're saying?
Now, what I'm really saying is, say
that then.
Right. What I'm really saying is, it's time for a change, period. Like, all those things are going to be I've done them, they already are
they're
part of the thing.
With you.
They're gonna definitely be there. Now it's time to do all the things that I'm either afraid of doing or I haven't done, and because of I was doing something else. Because I was doing something else altogether, and I wasn't focusing on the things I needed to focus on.
I feel that. I think that's still a beautiful way to think about it too. Mm-hmm. I think I learned in this past year, in 2020 especially, is that we damn near are kind of indoctrinated to believe that we need to rid ourselves of the bad things we possess, either the bad habits, the bad qualities, whatever it is, quote unquote negative. Right? And what I came into realization of is that I'm a fuck around and like kill myself trying to like make myself be less of something that's like been a part of me for so long. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the intention around it too that I realize. It's like I don't ever mean to do any of these things that harm me or harm somebody else. Maybe it's not a matter of ridding myself, but truly managing and minimizing the space that thing takes up. Because if I just allow myself to be, let's say if you're a procrastinator, for instance, and that's something that is detrimental to you and can be detrimental to people around you if you don't manage that. It's like because it's something to literally do something about, and what you're doing about it is how can I say, you need, if you're a procrastinator, you need to create your life so that's what you don't do. If that's your nature, then what I need to create is, okay, I need to be a better note taker. I need to set personal reminders. I need to damn near almost reverse sabotage myself into doing the right thing instead of instead of being, reactive, being proactive. It's like, I know how I am. I know I'm gonna wait till the last minute. I know I'm gonna whatever. I'm going to now call you and be like, hey, bro, it's this thing I really need to get done, but I'm in a real, lazy procrastinating mood. Can you call me every day and just ask me how it's going? If that's all you really need, like just somebody to literally keep that shit on your ass, just so because you need that pressure. Even though you have all this time at that point in time, if you do that from the beginning, more than likely the procrastination won't have any room. And if your goal is to get the thing done, but you know and you're aware of your tendencies, you're going to achieve that goal because you're going to at least be forward thinking enough to be like, all right, this is what I got to do to do this. This is what I got to do to that. I'm usually not the motherfucker who usually gets shit like this done like this, but I got to try something different because I can't stop being that. I just got to grow into better habits and allow for that habit to be a small aspect of me. That's the lowest frequency of me. That's, you know what I'm saying? But if I stay high, if I'm actually accessing and assessing the higher version of myself, then hell yeah, I'm going to just do that type of shit. You feel me? But same question to you, Arris, like, we're always in steady transition. What do you believe you are doing now to get into the next one? Or what phase, well, I guess, what are the practices, what are the things you're doing to understand what that next thing will be or looks like?
Yeah, no, I want to go back to what Mr. Rose has said.
Yeah, go ahead.
Liminal spaces, right? So we're talking about liminality, right?
Talking
about liminality, right? And this concept really just came to the forefront of my mind just recently, sort of like in a more structured way, but an oversimplification of liminality, right? This is just my take on it. Is like, yes, there is this space between transitions from where you are and from wherever else, right? It doesn't necessarily be where you want to be or where you weren't. It's always just from where you are to somewhere else. And so I think what happens in terms of transitioning into that next space, right? Like that liminal space, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of unknowns, right? And so when people say, oh, I'm in transition, like I'm in this perpetual state of transitioning, they're caught up in that unknown. They're caught up in that, right? Which is the liminal space. In order to get out of that, you have to be willing to move on from that, move on wherever that may be. And so if we're talking about decision making and layering that and adding another dimension to like these liminal spaces, you have where you are, which is the center of where you are, all these different life paths that you could potentially take, and you're debilitated from all of these decisions because you don't know what's going to happen, right? Damn. And so I think that when people finally decide on something,
because you got to choose, that's when you are out of those
liminal spaces and actually working on those things, right? So it's like, I mean, going back to the 7 or 8 years, right? So one might consider that a liminal space, right? And so now you're getting out of that liminal space, making that final step into whatever transition that you were trying to actually be in. So people are really met with these decisions of like, well, I can either do what I've always done, aka make the same decision that I've always done, even though I know how that ends, because that feels more comfortable to me, because I know that, I'm going to inherently choose that as opposed to going into the unknown, getting out of these liminal spaces and into that next phase of my life. So for me, I feel like, yeah, these past couple years have been this very liminal space, and again, like, we don't even have to use the constraints of a year, right? You can do it on a small scale. You can say 24 hours, right? 24 hours. There are so many liminal spaces in that 24 hours, and you could be going through so many different transitions at that local level. People aren't even aware of these things, right? And they just think, oh, well, if my mind is like where I want to be next year or where I want to be in the next 5 to 10 years, you are literally skipping over the progress that you're making on an hourly basis, on a minute basis, right? So it's just like moving at the speed of your own thoughts in that way, right? We're talking about seconds.
You better slow down.
Woo! I mean, I'm getting into it, right? But that's really how I see it. Is like right now for me, it's just in this space of the liminal, right? And trying to assess the unknown, the uncertainty, but at some point, I've got to take a step somewhere, right? And so, for me, what helps me facilitate that decision-making process is traveling, right? So, changing my environment up. And so, when I'm able to do that, things just become more clear inherently for me, right? It helps me build that momentum that I need, that accountability that I need that you talked to earlier, right? Just like, I just need someone to be on me about this. Right, so like what we're really talking about is accountability. Like we're trying to hold ourselves accountable because if we don't have that, then there's no motivation. There's no push for us intrinsically. Well, one, if we even have it cultivated like that, sometimes we need that external force, right? And so that's what you had said earlier. It's just like, okay, well, let me call up the homies. Just hey, check in with me on a weekly basis. Just make sure that I'm doing what I said I'm supposed to do. I don't want to take over this whole thing because we can get into it, but that's kind of like a little piece of that.
I want to definitely tantalize folks. You know what I'm saying, into thinking about this even deeper. I think you got it. But yeah, I think for me, I feel like I'm starting to find my intuition. Find my intuitive guide, be able to make certain things clear. And also ask the questions that I feel like I never asked myself. I do believe I've always accepted the idea of being in transition, being transitional and transformative, because it felt like, I don't know, I think I seen it's not even like a pursuit of perfection, just a pursuit of fullness, roundedness, Like I felt like within my own depiction of what being fully developed, being a fully realized person is to have, a multitude to show for it. Like a truly, like, I can do this, I can do that. I'm now this old and I now have these abilities. Some may be seen as minor, some may be seen extremely fucking major, some may be seen as lucrative, some may be seen as just convenient, some may be seen as comfortable, some may be seen as, oh, that's rare. Not too many people can do that. Or not even too many people care to still do that. Those are the type of things that I think I was drawn to more than anything when it came to who I want to be. How do I want to show up year after year after year? And I think I didn't realize how much of even doing this podcast was one that was like a method of self-accountability in a lot of ways too. Because I'm literally committing myself to show up in this, committing myself to have and create the type of content I say I want to create. But more than anything, it's a fucking a time capsule that's forever being filled up. You know what I'm saying? It just hasn't been closed yet. So I'm literally capturing how I felt the week that this happened or the week that this happened in the world. Where was my mind?
Social commentary.
You know what I'm saying?
Like a diary.
It's basically.
Yeah, heavy-weighted diary. Right?
Heavy-weighted diary that I don't even know how many hours. I would assume I'm about 180 episodes. So at this point, I've done, I can't even do no air math right now. All my episodes been between 35 to an hour. Yeah, so it's 185 episodes. So that's truly a lot of fucking hours.
Like an hour per episode, right?
Almost, just about all of them. Yeah, I feel like I started doing the special delivery episodes maybe in year 3, where I started doing very specific solo episodes that I wanted to be shorter. Because even with my solo episodes, I was stretching them shits out to at least 40 minutes to an hour just because I could. And also, just because it was the beginning, I was rambling. I was trying to find my voice. I was trying to, get my shit off and be aware of that. And I think I now am way better with that. I can get to the point, be concise, be joking. If I want to come at it comical, if I want to come at it deep, I could do that shit. It just depends on how I'm feeling about the content I wrote. But what I feel like, I like that I now feel like I can do that shit on command. And that's how I know progression has really happened and happening. You know what I'm saying? When somebody just hit me up and call me, tell me a thing, and I'm able to regurgitate some type of idea based off of some shit that might not even have no connection prior to this conversation, but that's the influence and the inspiration to whatever you said. It's like, oh, it sounds like you want to do this. What's that? Oh, it's this movie from blah, 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 this and that and the third, blah, blah, blah. This is kind of what the depiction of it was. Then they go see it and they like, oh, that's exactly what the fuck I'm trying to do. So learning that I speak the language of creativity was a fully realized more than ever in this year to me than any other time. I feel like I wasn't allowing my ears to be tuned to that and stay attuned to that. And now, yeah, I set a goal for myself that the life that I want to live for the rest of my life is one where I can create something new every day. And I think for the past several months, essentially that's what I do. Something that was not there the day before I want to make. And it could be something I never wrote, something I never said out loud, something I recorded, something I posted.
Especially now since you're full time with it.
See what I'm saying? So it's like, and I've now figured out ways to satiate whatever that is in a multitude of ways. I could be continuing on a project and not even consider that the thing that's a new creation, even though you can consider it that. This has progressed past the point of what it was the day before, so it's not even the same thing. Mm-hmm. But I ain't even that. I don't even count that. I still go and create something new or start on something new. And it feels good, but it feels like my way of, staying within my own intuitive practices and then also coming into knowledge of these other ones, of these tangible things, because I think that's where I'm really drawn to. My clarity doesn't come solely by making time for stillness, which I've appreciated that, but I think it's like I can't stay in the stillness too long. I gotta release. I gotta let it out. I gotta connect, because I think that's the balance that I'm supposed to have within this time.
That's that six.
That's that six. That's that six.
That's that six. But
you six.
To know something real quick is like this is a culmination of hundreds of intentional hours. You know what I mean? It's intentional hours.
Say that.
So it's not just I spend all this time, because there's a lot of people who spend time and it be not fruitful, right? Years and just spend time,
just be busy,
just be busy. just killing time, literally killing time. But like when you are actually alive with that time, like are intentional with that time. I mean, this is just one way to look at it, right? Where it's like this is now the culmination. You are where you are now because of that intentionality. Someone could say.
Hell yeah, you said that shit. Because just to run down for anyone listening to this for the first time. This hell of an episode that you called me on, and I wish I could say this is the vibe every single time, but this is special. You know what I'm saying? Special.
It's special.
But I think you should tune in and tap in with me regardless, because I'm proud of the milestones that I made, because it was ones some of them I didn't even make up. Some of them I didn't even expect to have. You know what I'm saying? I didn't expect to have a multiple motherfucking international guest on my show, and I believe all of my international guests found me. Which is, yes, I will accept the ego stroke that is. So I got episodes from guests in motherfucking Australia, London, Italy, Lagos, Nigeria, motherfucking Brazil. And I feel like another place in South America.
Yeah, hell yeah, go crazy.
Yeah. And
many more to come.
Yeah, so many more to come. Mm-hmm. So many more new cows to, create spaces for it. And I feel like it's necessary that we, do just that. But the next question, the next flow that I really wanted to kind of tap into while we in this particular mode, I have only two more questions. And that is, what are those barriers? Tell me at least the top two barriers that you feel like are pretty much in your control to break down, and then give me 2 that feel uncontrollable.
Money management, consistency.
Which 2 of those?
First,
that's the ones that you feel like you control.
Control that.
Yeah.
Control the fuck out of that.
Yeah. And what about uncontrolled?
Shit, the weather.
Say that.
You are photographer, so it's like, I need some light.
I need some light for real.
Right.
And shit. This was an interesting one. I'm not sure why I'm picking this, but other people, because I know now I really have to expand. It has to be beyond myself. It has to be groups of people that we have to work with to make a project come to life and things of that nature. So it's the aspect of controlling. That's out of my control. Like, I can give somebody a call, tell them if they don't show up. It's just like, well, shit, I can't do much with that. But I guess that just comes with the territory. So I'm gonna have to let that fall by the wayside. But another one that I will pick that's just out of my control is shit. At this point in time, it's kind of an interesting mourning. That shit hit. That shit hit whenever. That grieving just hits you. Like, now you can be chilling next to fuck. It can all hit you, just like that. So and that's the most human shit ever. It's hella human.
Like human to die?
It's human to die, it's human to mourn. I suppose what feels like it has a lack of humanity is how we go about it within this country, to where there's no real culture centered around death. Like, if you travel outside of here, then there's a specific, depending on where you go, there's a specific way they cater to death. When I say they, it might be, what's a good one? Like the Hispanic folks, or when they have like Day of the Dead. Don't get me lying. Do they have Day of the Dead?
Yeah.
Man. Okay, cool. I'm about to start. Mexico. Even in Hindus and New Orleans. I
think that's the only domestic example of like a really great approach to death.
Right.
Second lines aren't just for festivals and celebrations. They make a second line for you, a whole band. We talking about like a 10-piece band. We talking about the whole family. Everybody got walking and dancing shoes on at the funeral, and they literally bringing you, your body, in the casket and dancing down the street to where you going, to where your body will spend the rest of eternity in. And so it's truly like this. We already know you good. We about to shout. You about to
right.
You good.
That's the whole.
You know what I'm saying? And also too, obviously, and I don't know do white people even have repast? They be eating
repast. What's that?
That's what they call, like, the reception of a funeral is called repast.
Oh shit! We didn't have one now.
Yeah, so most people usually eat right after the funeral. Just console each other.
Right.
All that. And you've seen it, like, you probably have seen it in film. With white folks. So I guess it does happen. I guess I just never think about it. I don't even know they have cookouts and family reunions.
I didn't even know that they did that, and that's what they called it, like a repast, and just rushed to eat. I'd always thought people had food after because of how energy consuming releasing all these emotions can be.
Man, shit.
Right? So, like, if you've been crying for hours, you're most definitely going to be hungry afterwards, right? Because, like, you're using all of that. Yeah. Right. Like, it takes energy to use energy, right?
Using all your B12 in your body. Crying.
I mean, if you're not right at that level, then it's like maybe you might not be hungry. Maybe you might not want to eat. It's because you don't got the energy to do it. You literally directed all of it to the mourning, to the heartbreak that comes along with it, right? And so, I mean, you'll see plenty of examples for that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's interesting for me. No, wait, yeah. Arris, you go first. 2 things that you feel like are in your control that are, I guess, feel like barriers or barriers or some type of obstacle that's in your way, and 2 things that are uncontrollable that are in your way?
I would say the first 2 for me that is a barrier, and I love the language being used here. It's like barrier, right? It's not a boundary, right? I think a boundary is something that you set, that you have actively set to be, wherever it is that you want to be, progress or whatever. But the barriers, right? Totally ego driven. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but it's like
financial management. That's what I'm saying.
Just the barriers, right? It's like it's something that's coming from the wayside. So 2 big things: one, creatively and relying on the external to kind of help fuel the creativity, right? So like that's something that I can manage, right? Anytime that you can just create, right? As creators, just creating something doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have a certain ingredient list to create or even get to that point where you're actively creating. It's just like, well, I'm going to create something and it's going to be out of nothing, right? There's no reliance on, I might need a model to shoot. I might need someone to talk through concepts with. It's just like, wait a minute. I can do all these things myself at a very scaled down level, right? And so that's to me, that's something that I can definitely control, and it's something that I'm practicing. Is like having that larger scale kind of creativity, kind of that larger scale creative process, and then scaling it down where you can do it all locally. You know what I mean? Like whether that's just taking a piece of paper out and drawing something, like you are literally creating something at just that small level. So I would say that's the one barrier that I think that I've been really, really focused on, that I know is in my control, that I could change, that I'm trying to get better at. I really don't have a second one, because that creative one has been at the forefront of my mind. If we're talking about uncontrollable ones, I would say sort of along the similar lines of at the external, but just like emotions. I would say those emotions are uncontrollable. You know what I mean? I think people think, oh, well, you can just control your emotions. Like, no, I mean the actual emotion itself you have no control over, right?
Yeah,
but
manage it. I don't think
exactly. Like you can manage it once it's actually being processed through. Like once you're actually processing those things. But the emotions themselves, that's not something that you actually have control over, right? So it's like you're gonna funnel that, right? Because you are this hub, this great processor, and from there, that's where your reactions are coming from. That's where your response is coming from. So that's why when someone is responding with tears, almost, right? Just heartbreak. So yeah, had a lot of loss this year, myself, and kind of confronting the fact that I could not control my emotions in that one moment made me realize, like, oh shit, like if you think you can control it, you really are just dimming the fire that these emotions carry. Whether that's happiness or sadness, right? People tend to dim the ones that make them sad, or dim the ones that can carry sadness with it, and then pour gasoline on the ones that are meant to be happy and euphoric. So for me, it's those emotions that I know that I can't control. But what I can do is, once I'm processing it, I can then choose how I want to respond, choose how I want to react. But yeah, those are the 2 big ones. Definitely is that creative inspiration, totally controllable by me, and then the second one is just the emotions, which before they even get to where I'm aware of them and can be processed in a particular way, those are uncontrollable for me.
Damn. Yeah, I had to get this. Yeah, I had to get this. I think. Thank you both for giving me that, because I think it's mad vulnerable to express and be honest with yourself in a room by yourself. So it's it's commendable. And it's unfortunate that you don't get it that often enough coming from men. just expressing it without any particular, I don't know, any incentive other than just for the sake of getting it out. You know, you're not getting paid to do this. You're not trying to impress people with your, you know, emotional intelligence. It just is what it is, and it's right, just right for the moment. For myself, I truly feel like that I am. I think the two things that I feel like are within my control is, I think, my level of gumption and secondly, my anxiousness or rigidity in any way. You know, I put that kind of together, like, because I feel like I've seen my own anxieties be rooted in the things that I'm afraid to do, or I already have a belief that I've been so strongly in for so long that I'm realizing how much of that has became a part of my programming and something I just stick to, and it eventually starts to nag at me, like, hey, why have you always thought this thing? And it could be something as small as, you know, the way that I feel about a particular food or anything. It's like, why have I remained rigid on these things? Why have I remained, and how does this rigidity or this pattern of rigidity in myself affect other parts of my life? What else am I, like, not just immobile on? Because I've always seen myself to be mutable. I've always seen myself to be a person that can be flexible. But the things that are really not working for me is it feels like the doors that I need to be in and need to go through, I can't get through them because I'm so blocky. I got corners. I'm sharp. You feel me? I'm not even rounded enough to be able to curve myself into this door. If I can't go straight in, it's cool. We just curve on in here. If you know, just to give a visual, I guess. Like, if it's a big square thing with corners and you can't do nothing but scrape the side, you're gonna go through this door with some you know, some nicks. While, yeah, if you're rounded, have a sense of give, of ebb and flow to you. Not to the idea of just being quote unquote soft, but you give, you bend so that you can get through this thing and be renewed and be new, be in a whole new region of yourself and reach higher. The uncontrollables are really the changes within the world right now. I think I am in the business of not only, I'm in the perspective and media business. So things change very often about mass media. Things change very often in terms of perception. I think I've noticed myself over the years be able to recognize when I am emulating some parts of society versus when I'm not. When I'm really feeling like I'm in a rare air of this particular perspective, concept, opinion. And that's where I like to stay. That's why I like to continuously cultivate for the business that I'm in. I know that there is money, know that there are rewards for having the idea of, I want to say this for the first time. I haven't heard this particular opinion being spoken to, and it's not, I'm glad that I'm not getting there by way of being a contrarian. I'm not getting there by way of just trying my best to be, you know, give a hot take. It's like, this is what I feel. I don't think nobody thinking about it like this. And I think a lot of it has to do with me curating a life that I can really stand in that and be the truest version of that. I'm not coming, I can acknowledge, I can literally say what I need to say, acknowledge my bias, say what I need to say, and then give you room to say what you need to say next. And I don't think that that's a space or a thing that people kind of make room for these days. Right. Instead, they'll not preface, not acknowledge their own feelings behind it. Just say whatever, and then a motherfucker push back at them, and now you're trying to figure out why you got to, you know, bring them out their chest a little bit. It's like, I need you to calm down. You need to, you know, because it's like you just feel how you feel. It is what it is, and I think I've been blessed enough to be able to communicate, and for me to be able to tell people things that may be startling, some shit they never heard, uncomfortable, and for it to feel like it's at least being heard and received. So yeah, I think that's one uncontrollable. Did I say the other one? I said 2 uncontrollables.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just a long-winded.
Yeah. The last question I have for y'all is what do you believe your highest self looks and feels like?
Ooh, sports fucking.
Sports fucking?
Sports fucking.
Break that down. Break that down for me.
Even though I'm jokingly saying it, it's this idea that when you are fucking, it's like, nah, we fucking for sport, like we up here working on breathing techniques, like we been out here in the world working out, doing our thug thizzles, getting our shit together. So when we fuck, we got to put all these things to the test, and I think one of my highest selves really looks like, oh, we're going outside for fun. We're about to go climb trees. We about to go on like a 10-mile hike for fun. We about to go do all the, you know what I'm saying? Because we've been in the gym and shit trying to like make sure all the joints and shit was good. Make sure we can squat and deadlift and do all type of little shit so we can go out into the world and just go do all the cool shit. Mm-hmm. Like skin looking good, feeling healthy as shit, you know. Don't got to worry about no cash because it's like you already gotten all the systems in place, even if they're really simple systems to where, I'm eating off of this. I ain't even got to really put too much effort into it. You know what I'm saying? So after that, it's just like, all right, world, let's do this shit. You know, let me go ahead and intake all the things because I've really built myself, mind, body, and spirit. You know, hair long and shit, groomed. And like looking how I feel, great. Like it's like you ready to, like a chick ready to do some sports fucking. You know, even though it's funny, it does have a little bit of something behind it. But outside of that, when it comes to art, there's a certain level of being refined to where it's like oh, nah, these motherfuckers put this shit together, like. To a point to where I, as the consumer, don't have to think about what could this be. It's like, no, I'm telling you, this is it. These are all the things, but it's beautiful because that's where we were like free at and making it beautiful. We were very like particular and refined on what the message is. That's what maturing look like out here in these streets.
I fuck with that. I fuck with that answer. That was a smooth ass way to say that too. Do you know what your Arris, what your higher self looks like or feels like? What do you believe it feels or looks like?
Yeah, no, I like the fact that Bennierosevelt has said, you know, selves, you know, alluding the fact that there's more than one, or that there are many variations of that one. But one way to look at it, one way that I've been thinking about it is like just this top tier execution of dynamic harmony, right? And so what I mean by that is that in any given situation, in any given circumstance, whatever way the scale is leaning, there was just a harmony, right? There was a harmony there. It doesn't always have to mean 50-50. It doesn't always have to mean, you know, like this dualistic approach of, oh, well, I have this much and I have this much. It's just that at any given time, as I'm navigating space, I'm in complete harmony in that moment. But to me, that's what I believe my particular higher self would look and feel like, is that at any given time, like, just, you know, outside of my body, just any given moment, second, just being in that harmony with everything, the mind, my thoughts, my emotions, how I'm feeling, what I'm seeing.
Aren't you like that right now?
You know, what I'm feeling sensational wise, you know. And you said, am I feeling right? I mean, I am.
Look at you feeling your higher self right now.
I am.
You already got a taste of it.
You know, but but it's a practice, right? So it's not something that I feel yet is sustainable or that I can easily sustain it, right? So that's why I mentioned it's just like there's this top tier execution where it's just like every moment I'm just like I am harmonious as fuck right now, like at any given time. So that would be what that looks like for me.
Top tier.
Yeah.
Top motherfucking tier. Yeah. For me, I think I came into that concept in the realest of ways last year, and started reading the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, and I think it helped me a lot put in perspective how the way that I approach my life. Like I said earlier, I seen human development as well-roundedness. What skill can I achieve? What thing can I put onto myself that I'm drawn to, that I have a knack for, that can make my overall human experience better, in all those adjectives that I said at the top of the episode. And I think I was finally getting a depiction of how to do that with my spirituality, how to do that with my mindset and my mentality as well. And it felt, I was drawn to it. In that book, it gives you, not only does it give you these particular laws and kind of ways and approaches and perspectives of how you think of the world, but it gives you these tangible practices. And I think I didn't realize how tangibleness was something that really, really resonated with me. And like I needed that sense of like being able to do something, because I think the introduction of spirituality just being, pray and let go didn't feel like enough to me. It always felt like I needed to do something else. And like, I'm working on the thing I'm praying for or praying about. So it's like, faith without works and all that type of thing. But I'm like, is there anything else a brother can do? You know what I'm saying? To feel like I am being the most intuitive about this. And I feel like those, practices of meditation and journaling and, stretching and putting yourself, in nature, or the way that you communicate with people, based on the decisions that you made, all those different things help me realize and form what I think my highest self looks like. And I think it's definitely an abundant version of me in every single way, holistically. I see it being abundant from a standpoint of where all the things that I'm motivated by are in front of me, and the rewards are, endless. So that I can do what I want for whoever I want or just for myself. Either way, I could have the choice in that particular domain over the things, because I know that I think I was at least given that particular designation that I'm definitely meant to help people and serve people and be a aid of sorts, because it's like, why the hell would one of the biggest talents and gifts of mine being talking to people, having conversation, if I'm not supposed to orate or get people to a particular point or provide some new perspective and connect and, I don't know, vibrate differently. And so I feel drawn to the ideas of, taking care of the world and the world will take care of you. By doing, and I think it's a beautiful service of just giving perspective or saying what's on your mind that you couldn't find the words for, whatever that may be, because you deserve the clarity. You deserve to have the perspective that fits this feeling that you feel about yourself, about the world, about somebody else, whatever it is. I think that's why I'm always been so close to that, But also I see my higher self being able to be one and whole with the good and bad of myself. And I think I reckon with that, because I always feel like when I am on a high frequency, nothing really stops me. Nothing really matters. I'm living in a paradise that never ends, that's bountiful with all the fruit in the world, everything. And just being in that space always feels good. And it's almost the worst feeling now, I guess, is having this regret for staying in that space for so long, because it's like, damn, maybe I should have pulled out of that mindset and got back to this, or got back into the, the grind of the work or whatever, or maybe I did this wrong, and I think that my higher self can live in that, live in the understanding that I don't have to self-sabotage. The world's going to bring me new challenges on its own naturally, just because of how things change and how the journey goes. So I'm going to feel a way about myself. I'm never going to get to a point to where, I can just now turn off emotions. I'm just living in this nirvana, perfect type of world, just because that's the one I curated for myself. I think it's more so making those things more, being intuitive about them and being prepared for them. It's like, I think I need to sit down because I don't know what's about to occur. I need to sit down because, I don't know this. I maybe need to, be a little more active or be a little more of this, because I'm actually guided with some inner knowing more than I am just allowing the world to just happen around me, and I can contribute minor and majorly. So that's what I see. You know what I'm saying? That's what I see my higher self being. And it feels great to feel like that's who I'm about to truly be introduced to. And it feels good because I feel like that's where I need to be. That's where I need to go more than anything. But I think we can wrap up this young celebration. I went a little bit longer than I wanted to, but we good because we making great time. But I want everybody who's listening to understand that, like I said, this is the Soulfully Conscious Podcast for humans simply being humans. And I want y'all to really understand that tagline probably came in maybe year 2, year 3. I believe, I want to say year 2. And just, for me, the human experience is the only thing that we can truly control. And if you a person who believes in the presence, then why not have the best version of that? Why not, live that up? So laugh, analyze, love, you know what I'm saying? Fall in, fall out, break down, come up, whatever it is, because it's all going to happen. And it's cool because you're just simply being human, The last thing, my send it on portion of the episode, which is one of my favorites, because that means it's the end, but also it is a call to action. You'll hear the great sounds of D'Angelo right behind my voice right now, so I hope you know what I'm saying. Hope that you ain't listening to this later at night. This might get you.
Voice.
Both together is what I'm saying. Nevertheless.
All right, might get you.
Yeah. So, I'm stupid. My send it on is actually a homework assignment, right? Giving them homework. I want you to write down how you are in your own way. And I hope that you share it with me. You can hashtag. I'm hoping. I want them to do it, but you can share it as well.
With me.
With me, at least.
He's like, with me.
With me, at least.
Tell me what the fuck.
You can hashtag, you can hashtag simply human, and just, you can post it, you can give a little snippet, and I'm going to definitely share mine as well. Share mine as well on my story or just in the curated post.
That's you being human. Doing some human shit.
Doing some human shit. Because it don't got to be any more complicated than that,
That sound like anxiety. It's somebody anxiety. Hey, just be human. And they like send it to
real human out here.
Be real human. What's that mean to you? Oh,
Yes.
All right then.
All right then. But that's all I have. I want to thank y'all for.
Hold up, I gotta call to action.
That's what this part is about to be.
It's how you gotta wrap it up.
It is, but it's how it goes.
Oh, I have to process.
So, Bennierosevelt and Arris, I want you to let me know. I want to thank you for doing this with me, bringing it in.
You're welcome.
Thank you for
Anniversary, you know what I'm saying, episode. But in addition to that, I want you to tell the people anything that you would like them to know, any call to action that you would like to give. And then
That's my time to shine.
yeah. Good.
I would like to keep this hella simple. How about this? When a boxer is actually doing their thing and throwing jabs and punches, they're not thinking about, oh, I'm about to hit this motherfucker with a right. It's already an intuitive thing. They're thinking it and they're doing it. It's this idea that when you try to hear something too much, then you kind of lose that ability to hear. Like if you stare at something long enough, then you can start to see your vision like going, and like it's a very interesting thing when we're trying to do something. So I say you do it intuitively. You don't have to think a whole bunch about it because your brain is already wired to do all type of cool shit. You know, it's the consistency of this boxer constantly taking jabs at the bag. So by the time he go to fight, it's already mind muscle connection. You know, so get into that bag. Make sure you're doing something on a very consistent basis. So by the time it's time for you to show up and show out, you already in tune. You already in that moment. You already trust yourself. That doesn't require a whole bunch of talking. Hell, the only amount of doing that is actually going to cost us something consistent every day. Because we can't show how bright we are when all the lights are on, you feel me? It's just in those dark times. That's how we can show up for ourselves.
That's a bar.
Yeah.
That's a bar.
Like you said, hella simple. That was real simple.
Yeah.
That was real simple to me.
What say you?
So I want to come back to this decision making process, right? Like we talked about liminality, right? And this could really go and be applied to really any situation that a person may be in when it comes to making a decision. When you're met with that unknown and that uncertainty, right, your initial instinct is to kind of go to your comfort zone, right? Be comfortable, right? And a lot of folks say, oh, well, I'm just trying to get comfortable with the unknown or with the uncomfortable. It's like, I mean, you can't really do that because that's it's part of that new experience. As soon as you become comfortable with it, it no longer becomes unknown and can never be unknown again, right? Like if that's what you're trying to be comfortable with. So the unknown and the uncertainty is part of the process. It's part of the growth. So I am calling out for people to, even if you don't know, your next decision, whether it's right or wrong, like try to reframe your mind and to not think about it as right or wrong. It's just, listen, I was doing this, and this is what was happening, but I need to do something. I need to decide on something else, and it can be anything else, right? Despite the consequences, despite the risk, the associated risk to it. And choose that, right? Choose differently. So a lot of people say, oh, well, like I've grown a lot. It's like, I think a good indicator of that is like if you're choosing differently, even if you're not choosing in the way that you want, right? Like that's ultimately, that would be great, right? If we could choose and be like, this is exactly what I want. I'm choosing what I want. So call to action is really just try choosing differently. And you'll see that the host of opportunities, the host of new decisions that you can make are there, right? People are always kind of scared of, well, if I choose this way, I can't come back, or it's I don't want to deal with the time it takes to come back because I'd already gone down this road. You don't have to go and stay on that same path. You can continually trailblaze your entire life. You know what I mean? If you do it that way. So I would
choose your own adventure.
Yeah, I would encourage folks to give that a try, right? I think people get hung up on, oh, well, it's not the right decision or it's not the best decision. It's like, well, it's a decision. It's a decision, and it's better than not deciding at all and being stuck and being where it is that you are right now.
Word.
So I'll leave folks to ruminate on that.
Hey, come on, ruminate. Come on, ruminate. I hear that. I appreciate y'all. I really do. I think that was a great call to actions, everybody. I think y'all need to tap in with us. If you don't know, you should know. You can stream the Simply King podcast everywhere podcasts are available. Make sure that you like, rate, and subscribe on all platforms. You can follow me at Kings_Memoirs. You can follow the page at Simply King Pod. And make sure that you check out lifeisking.com for a slew of suites of services for your creative production as well as your digital marketing needs. I appreciate y'all. Appreciate the new folks. Appreciate the old folks. Appreciate the folks who got here last week. It is what it is, and I'm so glad that I've found this medium, and that it's continuously growing. And I'm here, and I've persevered, and I'm still out here making shit. We coming back every week with something else. So appreciate you. This has been the 6th anniversary of the Simply King podcast, the Soulfully Conscious podcast for humans simply being human. I've been King. This has been Bennierosevelt, and this has been Arris, and this has been Simply King. Peace.